Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to today's session of On Air with Boss. Our guest for today is Shahzad Ahmed. Shahzad, can you please walk us through your journey at Beaconhouse?
I joined Beaconhouse straight out of Lizonch Montessori. I joined Beaconhouse downtown campus from grade 4 all the way until my O-levels, and then I switched over to Beaconhouse Defense for my A-levels. So essentially all my schooling in Pakistan was in Beaconhouse.
So how was your experience both in the Gardentown branch and in the Defense campus?
Yeah, I think GT was a big part of my journey and a big part of who I am right now. There's still throwbacks to particular teachers. Ms. Shahzad Ahmed for computer sciences. That's where my love for CS actually began. We used to have Miss Iram for chemistry. We had Sir Anis hota the Urdu ke teacher, Sir Farooq hota the maths ke. And even the negatives at that time, like Sir Farooq ka gussa, all of that shaped you into who you are right now, right? And Sir Anis hota football khelte the. That showed me a different side of what a teacher can be and what role they can play in students' lives. So a lot of that's been instrumental in shaping my journey into education. Our education ke andar AI jo hum la rahe hain, bringing that human element back. So that's been a big focus of what I've been doing nowadays. Beaconhouse Defense, drastically different, right? Ab hum A-levels mein aa gaye. This is the time jab hum thoda bahut independence hame aana shuru ho gayi. Hamare time pe uniforms bhi nahi the and we could come in, go out. So that is, I think, where a lot of our soft skills developed, right? Thoda sa ke the network we made back then, some of them are really accomplished people. And I think we'll see them on your podcast series upcoming. We'll see them eventually. It's amazing that we've been talking to them and we've been working alongside them. And I think all of that traces back to the A-level days. And Abibi, to this day, it's been 14 years. Some of those people I meet on a regular basis. They are a critical part of both my personal and professional life.
So are you in touch with any of your friends from school life?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hassan, I've been working with Hassan Munch on a few projects. We've been doing AI upskilling in Pakistan. He's also launching an AI platform for networking that I'm an investor in actually. I'm in touch with Saad, who is a partner at a law firm over here. I'm in touch with Caboose, who's doing exceptionally well in the US. So there are quite a lot. I think this will turn into quite a long conversation if I start listing people, but mashallah, Mustafa Bajwa, who's working with the Gates Foundation in the UK. We meet quite regularly when I'm in London. So yeah, as I said, mashallah, the foundation that Beaconhouse set, we've been doing really well.
What kind of student were you?
Depends. Gardentown, the studious, silent one. A-levels, the rowdy, didn't go to class 1.
Wow. Were you a prankster?
Yes, but not the biggest one, surprisingly.
Any one naughty incident that you remember?
We let off a stink bomb in the maths class so that all of us could skip it and then go out and play billiards.
Did you get caught for it?
No. I was not the one who actually released it. I was the one who encouraged it.
Amazing.
अपने हाथ नहीं dirty करना.
ठीक है. Any one embarrassing moment that you remember?
I think Gardentown, grade 5 or grade 6. So I have the tension to lose focus. So assembly or anything, and they were asking questions, and I had my hand up for a previous question, and दोस्तों से बातों में लग गया. And what I didn't realize was my hand was still up, so they called me, and पूरे school के सामने I went on stage. And I didn't know what the question was. And I just blanked. I can remember the teacher saying something, whispering the answer in my ear, trying to save my blushes. And I'm just standing there in front of the entire Beaconhouse Gardentown assembly.
Did you have a study buddy in school?
I was the one who would run एग्जाम से पहले सारों को मैं पढ़ा के खुद लर्न करता हूँ. I'd be coaching them on courses, and that is how I used to learn myself. When there was also Sohaib, Gardentown throughout. Essentially, he'd always come first, I'd always come second, और हमेशा 1% का gap होता था हमारा. But we'd always trade notes and practice.
Are you competitive by nature?
Very much so, especially board games. You do not want to be around me in board game nights.
Okay.
मुझे लगता है अगर मैं जीत सकता हूँ then I should win. अगर कोई ऐसी चीज है जिसमें मैं बुरा हूँ जो मैं पता मैं नहीं जीतूंगा, अगर हम पैडल खेलने जा रहे हैं I don't care, मुझे पता मैं हार जाऊंगा, तो I'm fine. But if I think that I should be winning something, then I'm very competitive.
So you're not a sore loser then?
नहीं, अगर मुझे पता है मैं हारना तो ठीक है.
ठीक है. So if your campus life was a movie, what would the title be?
What now?
And if your campus life was a song, what song would it be?
Drive by Incubus.
Is there any one canteen snack that you miss till date?
Ooh, kurkure. We couldn't decide A levels में क्या होता था, and I used to have that Nokia 3310 phone that didn't break. तो मेरे दोस्तों ने एक गेम शुरू की थी, we'd actually like chuck it through the window and buy whatever it hit. So yeah, kurkure, the red ones were like framed always in the center. So yeah, I would eat a lot of those.
So if the library in your campus had a secret floor, what would we find on the floor?
That's an interesting one. Probably like books from around. I love reading anyways. So I don't know. You know, you'd have a Don Quixote, you'd have L'étranger, you'd have books from around the world, but with like, you know, their how I started learning French, you'd have the French page and then the English page, but for every language, so that I'd also be learning languages while I'm reading.
What's the most creative excuse you ever used for a late submission?
Oh, मैं अपने भाई की notebook ले आया हूँ गलती से.
Okay.
And then this teachers, especially in Garden, used to love my brother. So I name drop him because I was on the naughtier side of things, and my brother was like the perfect student throughout, right? So I name drop him because most of the time, Garden, because we were only 2 years apart, they used to love him. So that would get me a little leeway.
Would you like to give him a shout out?
Oh yeah, Shahzad Ahmed, Beaconhouse, Garden Town, all the way through, currently in Abu Dhabi, working in energy. Yeah.
Amazing. Have you ever napped on in campus?
Yeah.
And what's the weirdest place you ever napped?
I don't think I've slept anywhere other than inside the classroom, and I've slept inside the classroom quite a lot.
So if you came across a genie and the genie could grant you 3 wishes, what would you wish for and why?
Yeah, turn back time, relive a lot of the, like, I think I'd give myself the ability to like turn back time or turn it back forward at will. But I'm not one of those people who say I'd change things in the past because I'm happy with how life turned out, and I think I won't be making the same decisions anymore. So if I'm comfortable where I am right now, even the bad things kind of led me to this spot. The other being able to teleport. I love traveling. I hate airport queues. So if I could just close my eyes and teleport somewhere, that would be an amazing thing to do. And then the third being able to talk to animals and being able to understand them.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about one non-academic learning that you would associate with Beaconhouse?
I think, as I said, the soft skills are a critical part of it. Beaconhouse के अंदर both Garden Town and A levels, like the need to think on your feet and improvise and जुगाड़ लगा के काम निकलवाना, that was fantastic. I mean, शुरू में it used to be शरारतें, right? कि we need to find a way to get an additional games period या math या हमने जाके football खेलने हैं. But I think that made us tougher out of all of that as well, and made us like appreciate कि क्या नाम है resources को किस तरह maximize करना है. Because we were having, you know, we were going out, we were partaking in competitions, HSonians के साथ, LGS वालों के साथ. We were holding our own. So I think all of that is not academic linked, but like giving us the opportunity to go to like the Lumens back then, YLES, all of that was really good because it gave us an exposure to what was happening in the wider space of Pakistan.
So how has Beaconhouse shaped your professional journey?
I'm working in AI and computer sciences right now. Beaconhouse, and I mentioned Ms. Shaista earlier, she gave us a space to actually, you know, build with coding. So, you know, we had our curriculum, but beyond that, we actually used to be sitting in the classroom and making games, which was a little outside the curriculum, but that kind of stuck with us, and that it's been a core part of like the experimentation with computer science has been something that I'm still using in my professional career right now. I mentioned the events we used to go to. So a big part of being an entrepreneur, a big part of being a public speaker, and a big part of working in education is all those soft skills that you actually harness and build through these different activities. So I think Beaconhouse gave me that platform. And just in general, the network, I've been working, as I mentioned previously, I've been working with fellow Beaconites. I've been connecting with them. There's a common base that we use to build upon. So it's been very rewarding in that regards.
How important do you think networking is in today's world?
With AI becoming as prevalent as it is, people are going to homogenize over a general baseline. Because average skill level bahut upar aa raha hai. What's going to set you apart is your soft skills, right? And there are other soft skills, like networking and your communication skills and your ability to connect with other people is going to be what sets you apart. अगर आप अब देखें जो latest Gen Z का आ रहा है, they're actively pushing back against AI. They're downloading apps to basically shut their phone down. They're like हम खुद नहीं कर सकते, so they're downloading apps which are actually closing their phone down and forcing them to go outside and interact with people. And I think वो जो human element है, there's this 10 to 20 year की age bracket आजकल which has missed out on that bracket. लेकिन उससे नीचे वाले और उसके ऊपर वाला suddenly realizing that we've given technology too much control over our lives, and the human element needs to come back. And a big part of that human element is your social skills and your networking skills.
What's your take on the integration of AI in everyday life?
I think it's inevitable. We've let the genie out of the box in an uncontrolled manner. अब हम चाहे भी हम इसको वापस नहीं ला सकते. Your kids are using AI. आप खुद AI यूज कर रहे हैं. आपके teachers AI यूज कर रहे हैं. इस वक्त there's more need of governance. लेकिन AI essentially has come to a point where it is ubiquitous. It is everywhere in your life. आप उसको control उस तरह नहीं कर सकते. So the idea is now to upskill people, to make them more cognizant of AI, to make them understand कि अपनी thinking आपने outsource नहीं करनी है AI को. You still need to retain some degree of control and critical analysis when working with AI. AI is there, whether we like it or not. It is going to either enable you to amplify your work, or it is going to become a negative disruptor. So that is where I think aapko and schools ko, parents ko have to figure out how to make sure that there is that level of governance, understanding and control जो बच्चे फिर adopt करते हैं.
So you spoke about governance. Do you have any tips revolving around that?
There is, right? If you're setting up AI systems, we have the ability to ensure that we can actually roll out AI in an equitable manner. Right now, क्या हो रहा है? Those with means have access to more expensive models, higher usage limits, and that is causing a break in the result kids are getting. On top of this, अगर आप किसी को कुछ environments में आप AI रोक रहे हैं, what is happening is those kids are then going and using AI in an uncontrolled manner. Last year, we already had 2 high-profile incidents of suicides driven by AI usage. And governance के अंदर ये आता है कि you can actually expose kids to AI in a manner which is well thought out, which is safe, which is controlled, and which is also anonymized. What people don't realize right now, by default, their interactions with AI are being recorded, are being used to train data, and a lot of their personal information is inadvertently actually ending up in the public space because they've not been educated in terms of how to anonymize it, how to strip away identifiable information. So if we have governance policies in place with regards to which AI tools are used, how they're used, we can actually at least put in the ring fencing and safeguards to ensure that we minimize that threat and risk.
So what AI tools would you recommend for the upcoming generations to use safely?
I think it's an interesting question, right? If you'd asked me this question last week, my answer would have been different. If you'd asked me this question 2 weeks before, it would have been different. We're entering a space where you can't advocate for a single tool because the pace at which technology and innovation is coming is astronomical. हर हफ्ते एक नया tool आ जाता है. So what's more important is fostering this ability to learn, unlearn and relearn very quickly, and this is going to become a lifelong practice, right? Traditionally what used to happen was कि आप एक चीज सीखते थे, concept सीखते थे, and throughout your career you'd actually kind of implement that and learn on top of that and build your way up. अब ये आ रहा है, especially with AI, you're going to actually have technological advancements where it actually, the tools you're using are going to become obsolete and you'll have to learn new tools. So the underlying principles are what we actually need to focus more on. And that's going to be a big part of the emphasis. So अगर आप आज पूछे तो yes, everyone should be using Claude, everyone should be using Notebook LM if they're a student, but that answer might not hold tomorrow. So it's more कि इन चीजों को आपने use कैसे करना है.
So how important are prompts for using Claude or Notebook LLM?
Yeah, so prompts are an interesting thing, right? Like prompts are essentially the foundation where you're starting. How you understand prompts is, in the past, if you wanted to work with coding, if you wanted to work with a tool, if you wanted to build something, you'd actually, as a human, have to go and meet the technology where it was. You'd have to actually talk to it in machine language. And that is why it was essentially separated. Like you had your software engineers building things, but that was it. What this wave of generative AI that we've entered has opened is the door जहाँ पे normal लोग natural language के through interact कर सकते हैं, and that's a big shift. Now you're not talking to machine in machine language, you're talking to machines in our language, human language. फिर natural language process होती है और instructions आगे transfer होती हैं. So that is the big shift इस space में. So with that shift happening, prompting is essentially what you need to pick up, because an effective prompt determines how you're talking to the machine and how the machine understands you. If you've given it enough information, how you've asked, what context you've given determines the output you're getting. And that is why a big part of like basic A-level foundational training is understanding कि prompting आपने कैसे करनी है, prompting techniques क्या है. And this varies depending on the medium of instruction, the tool you're using, the output you want. Do you want an image? Do you want a text output? Do you want a video output? Do you want to build an app? And there are prompting techniques and frameworks for each different use case.
Shahzad, don't you think that with generative AI, the ability to critically think and think out of the box, that's kind of diminishing?
That's a very interesting question, and that's a big problem. आपने एक term सुना होगा brain rot. That has been thrown around quite a lot in the last year or two. And it's true, आपकी cognitive ability decline हो रही है if you actually end up outsourcing all your thinking over to AI. So one of the things I mentioned was कि आपकी एक baseline आ रही है. अगर आपकी baseline फर्ज करें यहाँ थी तो थोड़ी सी ऊपर आके यहाँ पे आ गई, where everyone can get a decent output out. क्या मतलब आपको कोई ऐसे मिल जाएगा, grammatically correct होगा. But what's happening is कि अगर आप बिल्कुल 100% outsource कर दें अपनी thinking, so everyone will start producing this cookie cutter generic output जो AI सारों को मिलता जुलता, it's trained on the same data, output भी मिलता जुलता आना शुरू हो जाएगा. And that is why it's very important कि हम critical skills के ऊपर work करें. That is why schools or universities are not going to become obsolete, because these are training grounds for your soft skills, right? आपकी decision making, आपकी critical thinking skills, आपका analysis, ये सारी चीजें schools के अंदर foster होती हैं, आपकी communication में foster होती है, आपका experience जो जाता है. And we need to teach people how to use AI better. And जो इसके अंदर आपका thinking और आपके अपने experience, अपनी personality अंदर डालने वाला element है, वो करना जरूरी है, वरना we will end up in that space of brain rot जहाँ पे हम input करेंगे, output करेंगे, ले रहे होंगे और खुद सोच नहीं रहे होंगे. We have to ensure कि people are actually thinking. अभी this past weekend I was doing a workshop in LUMS and we were working on the ideation कि हमने आपने ad journey किस तरह बनानी, marketing की workshop थी, तो ad visual creatives किस तरह generate करने हैं. I gave people a Claude का skill, which is basically a series of prompts and a series of questions it was asking, and to generate a visual. And one of the participants got really annoyed. He was like, इसने मुझसे 15 सवाल पूछने, 20 सवाल पूछ लिए, मुझे बस अपना ad visual चाहिए था. मैंने इसका मुझे ad visual दो और मुझे output दे देता. अगर मैं Gemini में जाके लिखूं मुझे मेरा ad visual दो, जब ad visual दे देगा, मेरे से 15-20 सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हैं? And I was like, that is the whole point. कि 15-20 आपसे सवाल जो पूछे हैं, it is forcing you to think. Traditionally, you would go to a designer, और आप अगर डिजाइनर से कहेंगे ऐड बना दें, अगर डिजाइनर को बताना कोई स्पेसिफिकली क्या ऐड चाहिए, क्यों चाहिए, क्या करना है, क्या आउटपुट है, there is going to be a difference, right?
Yeah.
अगर आप AI को you just let it run wild and just take whatever it gives you as gospel, then you are going to end up in that space of brain rot. So that is, I think, the big change we need to incorporate in our schools, our universities, our assessments, jobs. We have to push people to actually bring a bit of themselves into their work.
So I completely understand that and I hear you on it as well. लेकिन जो example आप दे रहे हो, that's basically about people who are mature and they've lived a certain life of theirs with critical thinking, with an out of the box approach, and they were essentially born in a world where AI did not already exist. It is something that they've had to adapt with and evolve with the passage of time. But for example, जो अभी की generations हैं, they are actually born into the AI world. And they are convinced that this is the only way moving forward. तो उनके लिए फिर आपकी क्या tips हैं, क्या advice है कि how can they integrate soft skills and the ability to think critically while they're using AI?
It's a very good question, right? इसके different layers हैं, depending on responsibility कहाँ पे जा रही है. Is it going to fall on the kids themselves? Is it going to fall on their parents? Is it going to fall on their teachers or schools or institutions? And it's probably going to be a mix of all of this, right? I think it's up to us to demonstrate to kids that agar they push the envelope. The kids by nature are a lot more creative and think outside the box as compared to adults.
Yes.
Because we've been confined by our experiences in terms of हम क्या क्या चीजें सोचते हैं possibility के angle से. Kids sometimes think of the most ridiculous things, but now you can actually give them that opportunity to push the envelope with regards to what is possible. One of the apps I just made with my nieces would take like a drawing they did and bring it to life.
Okay.
But then it was like कुछ भी आप draw करो वो करेगा. So they had to go in the physical space first, draw something, and then they were getting that reward of AI bringing all of that to life. लेकिन what was lovely to see was that they would suddenly start drawing these bizarre concepts and bizarre things, right? Which like was so out of the box for me. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Like a unicorn eating a lollipop, or like just. But I think that's what we need to do. We need to like bring a way to encourage them to have these moments of discovery, moments of thinking, reflection, and then work AI into this. So that was basically an example of what we were doing. I was doing with my nieces. But then even in schools, for example, you could change the way assessments are run. You can change the way classes are run. And you can give a lot more control back to the students as well in terms of showing that, if they actually put a bit of themselves into AI, they can get a very personalized experience that actually calls out to them. We can take the books that they love. We can take the stories that they love. We can take the family dynamics that they experience into their teaching and then personalize the learning for them. So there's a lot that can be done, but that needs a lot of like system level design happening both at like, in education at the school level, in households at the parent kid relationship level, and also like which tools we're giving them and how do we expect them to use those tools.
So that sounds absolutely amazing and very interesting as well. However, I would also like to ask you, so when you speak about adults and when you speak about institutions that have been here almost since the beginning of time, there are a lot of preconceived ideas and notions regarding the kind of professions that you would, essentially get into, the kind of subjects that you need to have in order to become that kind of professional. So आपका ये जो पूरा analysis है, that kind of breaks that barrier completely. And there's a lot of awareness that has to come from multiple ends in that capacity. So it has to come in from parents, and at times parents have a very traditional mindset and they're fixated on, for example, their kids acquiring financial stability. And for that, they have certain professions in mind. You have to become a doctor or an engineer. And then AI is something that is just integrated. It's not something, that is on a holistic platform as of now. And then obviously with schools, because parents are a very important stakeholder for education institutions as well, and they get to have a lot of say. And then, you have teachers who've been in the profession for over 20 years and 30 years. So you feel that there's a lot of resistance to change that is going to come around in that capacity. Do you have any tips in order to make this resistance as less as possible?
I will try to make my response to this as the least scary approach on all of this. जितना कम स्केरी कर सकूं करने की कोशिश करूंगा, क्योंकि इसके अंदर different elements and I can go into a long response on this one. This year we had a record shrinkage in entry-level jobs. We are seeing mass level layoffs happening.
Yes.
And what we're entering is a space jahan pe there is for the first time an uncertain future, right? You mentioned traditional jobs jo parents dekhte hain aur apne bachchon ke liye chahte hain कि हाँ हम मेडिकल फील्ड में भेज दें, डॉक्टर बना देते हैं या इंजीनियर बना देते हैं. पाकिस्तानी जो गैम्बिट होता है डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, लॉयर, राइट? We have robots performing surgery to a higher degree of accuracy in China right now than humans. And this is in test phase. If I'm a parent right now, I would be worried having my 10-year-old become a doctor or preparing to be a doctor 10 years from now when I don't know what the world is going to look like 10 years from now.
True.
Okay? What if you have robots and machines doing the actual surgery? What if there is not enough roles for human doctors at that point in time? There will be some. There will be, already we are seeing doctors use AI for diagnosis, but there's still a human in the loop जो end पे output दे रहा है. लेकिन जो initial सारे steps थे वो अगर हम AI करना शुरू हो गए तो there's going to be shrinkage in jobs in that space. तो what's becoming more and more critical is that I need to ensure that the future generation is in a place where they can adapt to whatever the world is throwing at them. They have the skill set to use whatever tools are available at their disposal down the line 10 years from now. And they can essentially, as we said previously, unlearn and relearn very quickly. So that is something like we're going to enter a space of lifelong learning. तो एक इसका बहुत बड़ा part इसमें ये है. There is a lot of opposition which happens. लेकिन हम आहिस्ता आहिस्ता देख रहे हैं. अगर अभी मैं so I have my own teaching operating system company. We're operating out of Switzerland and Qatar, and we work with universities and professors and educators. So we entered that phase where university classrooms used to enter, like professor common rooms used to enter into shouting matches. You have that pro AI group and you have the anti AI group. You still have professors who are failing kids who use AI. You have professors trying to use tools like Turnitin to detect plagiarism. Then you have other professors who are saying, "Nahi, AI to use karna hi karna bachcho ne." There will be some who are really good at masking it, some who are not. I think we're fighting the wrong battle there. What we need to do is come to terms with the fact that this is a change that has happened. How can we use it more productively? How can I actually, for example, if in the example I'm just quoting as a professor, use AI in a way that I can amplify my work, amplify my teaching, speed up my assessment creation, actually identify on a per student level where they're struggling, what skills are they developing, and then intervene on a one-to-one basis. There's a lot I can do now जो पहले नहीं कर सकता था. And institutionally coming back to all of this, like अगर हम schools वगैरह से बाहर भी निकले तो we are entering a space. I think Mark Cuban said that we'll have the first 1% like million dollar company very shortly. And it's very possible. As one person, I can build up an entire software application, plug it into like a transactional system like Stripe. I can build out its marketing, I can build out its sales. Whereas previously I would have needed like 15 people, I would have needed an entire team, I would have needed a lot of startup capital. I can do all of that myself now. So I think what's more important is that institutionally and structurally, we change these entities to be able to foster these skills in their charges, right? Like the student, I'm a school, I am responsible for my students. If I'm a university, I am responsible for the future of my students. I need to make sure they're future ready to be able to take control or command of the opportunities and to be able to adapt to whatever world they're getting. So that is going to be a big shift in all of this. We were seeing, like, right now there's a big debate happening on the relevance of universities. Universities honi bhi chahiye ki nahi honi chahiye. Palantir, which is one of the biggest like companies, don't agree with their ethics, don't agree with what they're doing in the world, purely think they're evil. But like Peter Thiel essentially launched a fellowship. Anthropic launched a fellowship. You don't need to go to school. They're actively saying, don't go to university, start working at the age of 18 and we will pay you $250,000 a year and start working in AI. Because what you're learning at university doesn't matter anymore. So universities, schools need to reinvent and they need to recapture the narrative. Okay, the soft skills, the experience you're having in the university, this ability to learn, unlearn, the critical thinking, that's what we're giving you. That's the foundation that we're actually equipping you with when you enter the workspace. So, agar wo nahi karenge, we do run the risk of educational institutes being deemed irrelevant. So that's the trade-off. That's why they need to change.
So Shehzad, there's an ongoing debate about AI and how AI is basically there to take over the world and to replace human capital.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I think it's a bit of the, आंखें cover कर लूं तो मुझे कुछ नहीं होगा. Well, the thing that's happening where people are like, nahi, AI aa raha hai, kuch nahi hoga. We have numerical data rightly pointing out कि नहीं, impact तो आ रहा है, entry level jobs जा रही हैं. You've got the pro AI market saying yes, नहीं, लेकिन jobs create भी तो हो रही हैं. People can launch their startups themselves. Their new job opportunities are cropping up. Numerically speaking, there is a record shrinkage of jobs happening. So there needs to be a step back and reflection on what does it actually mean for opportunities, what does it actually mean for the skilling and training that needs to happen. So I will cover like the economic angle, the social angle, the political angle. Economic angle jo hai, like of the jobs being shrunk, there needs to be a reflection. What does it actually mean for the government? What does it mean for maybe initiatives like universal basic income or providing certain access to, the basic tenets, health, education to people, to in a world जहाँ पे शायद इतनी jobs उस तरह exist ना करें. Pakistan is being hit very hard right now क्योंकि copywriting के there were so many people working in copywriting, right? That's one of the first things AI kind of wiped away the need for. You're having people undergo reskilling, or abhi ke liye they've been left to their own accord kind of to figure it out themselves. It's understandable to an extent as well because the way generative AI has come in, so AI has been there for decades, but generative AI where it's kind of become universal और हर बंदे के phone पे हर बंदा use कर रहा है, उस extent पे जिस speed पे ये आई है, it's the fastest, like ChatGPT was the fastest growing app, until Claude suddenly overtook it as the fastest growing revenue for a private company. जो usage AI का आ रहा है, it's a little unfair to say our government should have prepared us क्योंकि एक साथ हमारी government hit हुई है, हमारी schools hit हुए, हमारे teachers hit हुए, parents hit हुए, बच्चे hit हुए. Everyone is living through this movement at the same time. तो थोड़ा सा इसके अंदर हमें लोगों को छूट देनी पड़ेगी, लीव देना पड़ेगा कि हाँ, like yes, we understand you don't immediately have the answer because a lot of the people don't. But what we can't excuse is people not looking for an answer, right? Like people covering the horizon saying कुछ नहीं होगा. Economically अगर jobs impact होंगी, ये jobs shrink हो रही हैं. पहले आपका होता था एक pyramid होता था. You used to have a lot of entry level jobs. अब वो entry level jobs AI agent से replace हो रही है. अब एक thinking है कि we are actually entering a structure जहाँ instead of a pyramid we're entering a diamond. People can actually enter the middle of an organization directly, and what's going to set them apart is their ability to take company's knowledge, take their AI skills, and deliver something which would be much better in terms of output and as far as the company is concerned, like efficiency and on the bottom line, as opposed to your traditionally low काम कर रहे हैं. So AI is going to be a distinguishing factor in that regards. So economically, you have to play the game where you have to place yourself in a position जहाँ पे आप वो roles ले सके. There is going to be reckoning जो आएगी जहाँ पे लोगों को reconsider करना है कि इस वक्त जो population है और जो job shrinkage हम देख रहे हैं, how are we going to restructure the global economy? How are we going to value jobs? अभी जो jobs कुछ essentially हम उस तरह compensate नहीं करते, value नहीं करते, those jobs actually might become more relevant and might be the ones जो AI directly भी immediately replace नहीं करता. Do we change the way those jobs are compensated or valued? How do you value a role जो अपने job के लिए 70%, 80% of the time AI use कर रहा है, 20% thinking कर रहा है versus someone जो manual hard labor कर रहा है? There's a lot of question and thought process that needs to go into this. Social angle पे भी like negatives अब आपको impact face होने शुरू हुआ है. People are becoming addicted to their chatbots. Chatbots by default are designed to encourage repeat usage. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, studies have pointed out that they like encourage psychophancy.
Yes.
They validate you. They tell you कि नहीं जो आपका idea बहुत अच्छा है, क्योंकि they want you to keep talking to them. जो अच्छा आपका दोस्त होता है वो आपको बताता है कहाँ आप सही हो कहाँ आप गलत हो.
Yes.
They're not your friend in that regards because they'll keep telling you you were right. They'll keep validating you and you'll keep going back to them. And what it's doing, especially in young kids, is it's creating this bond where it's replacing human counterparts. The kids there have been instances of kids actually calling on AI as their friends. There was this big case that happened in the US where there's this company called Character AI where kids can create this like avatar, give it a personality, and the kid was so addicted to Character AI की जो usage हो रही थी कि when the parents took that character away, the kid went ahead and committed suicide.
Oh my God.
There's another जहाँ पे a kid was conferring to ChatGPT and saying that he was having suicidal thoughts, and the chatbot actually encouraged him
Yes.
and gave him ideas as to like how to follow through with it. So in लिहाज से it has to be like very clearly communicated to people. Like this divide needs to be very conscious even from a young age कि क्या ह्यूमन इंटरेक्शन है और क्या AI इंटरेक्शन, क्या सिंथेटिक इंटरेक्शन है. कम से कम ये पुश बैक आए और ये सेफ गार्ड्स हों जो आपको पुल अवे करें कि नहीं, आई नीड टू एक्चुअली स्टेप अवे फ्रॉम अ मशीन एंड हैव अ ह्यूमन कम इन एंड इंटरवीन एट दिस पॉइंट. ये चीजें सोशल एंगल इसका बहुत आ रहा है. लाइक वी आर हैविंग देयर इज अ कंपनी कॉल्ड रेप्लिका दैट इज क्रिएटिंग digital girlfriends for people.
Yes.
So you're having AI. There's a loneliness pandemic out there, right? अब क्या हो रहा है कि people are finding their AI girlfriends that can talk, always tell them कि भाई आप सही हो, do what you want them to do, कभी push back नहीं, कभी वो नहीं आपको validate करें. Immediately it may seem very therapeutic to some people. right? Oh, my loneliness is going away.
Yeah.
But what it's also doing is it's locking you into this space where now you don't have that need to suddenly go out and find that human connection because you're like, oh, mujhe machine mein se mil raha hai. So there needs to be some kind of limitation, restrictions, or just general governance, as we talked earlier, on the use of such tools.
So Shehzad, there are a lot of online games, interactive games, which are essentially also inculcating the concept of suicide in kids. And normally unki jo age bracket hai, that is like between 10 and 16. And I had recently come across this news. It was about this kid in India, and he jumped off from his apartment. I think that was like around, they were living on the 16th floor or something. And then later on, his mother basically found this whole map that he had made. और उसके अंदर पूरा लिखा हुआ था, पूरा ड्रॉ किया हुआ था, and how the online game was telling him to go and jump off the room balcony. So that's a very scary thought, especially as a parent as well, because our kids come to us and they're like, can we use the laptop? Can we, play a few games? And you don't really know what the safety protocols for that are anymore. So do you think that, AI is deeply integrated and embedded in these online games also?
So there's the first part where AI in general has been in games for years now, right? Like आपकी जो वैसे artificial intelligence है वो तो आपका पहले से ही था, pathing, decision, आपकी character framing, scaling सब कुछ चल रहा था. Generative AI के साथ एक अब angle आ गया where it's creating paths जो पहले नहीं थे. अब वहाँ risk क्या है कि जो पहले games थी उनके अंदर तो आपके with AI it was still within a controlled narrative, right? With generative AI, what's happening is that even the developer doesn't really know कि game क्या बनाने, क्या paths बना के दे सकती है student को या बच्चे को या adult को जो खेल रहा है. So creatively, it's fantastic in terms of क्या opportunities you can actually build out personalized experiences and stories. On the flip side, ये अगर आपने सही guardrails नहीं डाले तो इस तरह का जो example आप दे रही हैं that can happen, right? And it's not just going to happen inside games, like movies के अंदर Netflix is paying eye-watering amounts of money to AI engineers.
Really?
Right now, yeah. So the idea being अभी तो वो सारा learn कर रहे हैं, आपके patterns कर रहे हैं, and then they tested it with an app like with a series like Bandersnatch, Black Mirror की, जहाँ पे you make your choices and pretty much get a different experience depending on what you choose. But we could enter a space where knowing everything about you, knowing what kind of series do you keep on watching on repeat, like what keeps you inside the app, it can actually create a series for you on the fly, जहाँ you get the dopamine hit जो आपको सीरीज से चाहिए होती है to keep you logged into the platform. और पूरी journey उस तरह बन रही है where the series you're seeing is very different from the series that I am seeing. And could be amazing. I love what I'm getting from my entertainment now. At the same point, it could be potentially locking me in. It could be pushing me down. Like, yes, I might be in a space in my like life right now where a certain kind of content is appealing to me. But if that information is now suddenly being taken by AI and then being amplified, maybe as a society, that's not a good thing that we're doing.
True.
We're pushing people down a certain messaging or path where maybe if certain content is resonating with you, we've not taken a pause to say कि करना भी चाहिए ये चीज़ है कि नहीं. We're just doubling down on the bet. So ये games में सिर्फ नहीं है. Generative AI can create or the machine is creating these things. You don't have as much control over this anymore. And we're gonna see this everywhere. So हम laptop से किस तरह रोकें अगर उनकी जो apps use कर रहे हैं उसके अंदर AI है, उनके phone के अंदर Siri is going to get smarter. Google का जो AI है that's going Android phones पे जो AI है that's going to become smarter. Google के अंदर AI अब आ गया. So there is going to be the need for self-governance and critical analysis from a very young age now, unfortunately, because AI is going to be there.
And since you brought that up, Netflix wala, So that just got me thinking. There are a lot of cartoons as well that have become interactive, and they give you those choices. So वो एक है Boss Baby. So Boss Baby का एक पूरा segment आया था where they ask you questions, and then you decide which option you're choosing, and then they show you that one. So yes, मतलब that has been there for quite some time now, and we just haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, तो exactly. तो अभी क्या हो रहा है? अभी that's not using generative AI, but all your choices, all the decisions you're making, essentially they're saving all of that, right?
Yes.
Like they're seeing what you choose, what you click, what you save, and they're making these huge data sets. And off the back of that data set, we can enter a space where we'll actually enter into generative AI and they'll start making those choices for you without you having to click.
True. Shehzad, is there any one myth about your profession that you would like to debunk?
I think we talked about it earlier. Like we are here to replace people with AI. In my case, I have a teaching operating system that we are building something that would replace a teacher in a classroom or a professor in a university. I inherently believe, and a lot of the reasons behind this belief are covered in the conversation we were having. Okay, there needs to be a human in the loop. There needs to be a human that is actually assessing what goes through. So what we are building at Tortin is essentially the ability to amplify teachers, the ability to make their work smarter and make them work much more efficient, save them time, but then also create these flags for potential interventions for them, right? And I think that is where we need to be very cognizant, identifying people who are actually building things to keep or retain the human element inside organizations. And I think that's a battle worth fighting.
Shehzad, what message do you have for the current students of Beaconhouse?
Push the envelope, learn. Like if you have a crazy idea, go out and do it. If you want to make games, go out and make a game. If you want to make a movie, you can make a movie. Like experiment, push the envelope, learn, continuously learn. What's going to set you apart is bringing your personality, bringing a big part of who you are into whatever you create. And that is what is going to set you apart. 10 out of 10 students can go and say, give me a movie and I can create a random movie. But you can actually put in a part of yourself and your passion into it and create something that shows people why it's not just a movie created by AI, it's a movie created by you using AI.
That's amazing, mashallah. Thank you so much, Shehzad, for taking out time from your valuable schedule and coming on today's session of On Air with Boss. I had a lot of fun hosting your session today, and your conversations were very, very insightful. And I hope and pray that anyone and everyone who's watching this session, they learn a lot from your words of wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me on board. And I think I'm speaking on behalf of fellow Beaconites. Like, it's been a big part of who we are today, and we remain available. Like, if ever there's a Beaconite out there who wants our advice or input or just to talk, like, reach out.
Shehzad is an entrepreneur, growth strategist, and AI-focused builder whose journey spans global brands, high-growth startups, and the future of education technology. A graduate of LUMS in Computer Sciences and later EDHEC Business School in France, Shehzad has worked across product, marketing, and growth leadership roles in Europe's startup and tech ecosystem. His experience includes leading digital marketing initiatives at Swarovski, driving growth at Capdesk through its acquisition by Carta, and serving as Chief Growth Officer at Sova. Today, he is focused on building AI-powered learning platforms, including Hoja, a personalized K2 AI tutor, and Tortin, a learning management platform designed to make education more accessible and engaging. Alongside building startups, he is also actively involved in AI upskilling and helping professionals adapt to the rapidly evolving digital landscape. From global corporate leadership to building the next generation of AI-driven education tools, Shehzad's journey reflects curiosity, adaptability, and a passion for creating meaningful impact through technology.
Beaconhouse Old Student Society, POS, building a community together.